Welcome to our academic excellence meeting. I will turn this now over to our chair, Dr. Tanya Howard Hall.
Thank you. Good morning. Thank you, Mr. Moss. Excuse me. Our committee members today that are present, and they're always present here during our informal session, is Ms. Connie Hall, rep from District 3, and Mr. Paul Smith, rep from District 5. Can I have someone to approve the agenda for today?
So approved.
Second.
It's properly approved and second. Now can I have someone to approve the minutes from our last meeting?
So move.
Second.
Thank you. Today we're going to talk about extended learning. And most times when people hear the term extended learning, they think about after-school programs, they think about Saturday school, but extended learning is also summer learning opportunities. So today we're happy to have Dr. Brown to come and just give us a brief overview of what's going on within our school district during this summer because, as you know, learning continues throughout the year. Dr. Brown.
Good morning. Thank you for having me today. So on behalf of Academic Services, I will talk briefly about our summer learning opportunities. And basically, this presentation will provide an overview of the 2024 summer programming and learning opportunities. Specifically, I will talk about why summer learning, the logistics, summer school sites, camps, departmental support, readiness and credit acquisition, and our projected numbers of students and staff. So why summer school? Why summer learning opportunities? Well, obviously, we wanted to create an instructional framework that specifically addresses the whole child and addresses student recovery and learning. 2, we wanted to create opportunities for students to engage in wellness activities. And then 3, create opportunities to promote workforce development and provide hands-on experiences for our high school students. Obviously, this is tied into our strategic plan, specifically strategic priority number 1, our students, where we're looking at student growth and achievement. So we got off to a great start on Monday, June 3rd. Summer school started. It will run, it will operate actually until June the 26th, Monday through Thursday, and holiday will be June 19th. For our elementary and K-8, for our elementary K-8 and middle schools, the students will report from 8 to 12:30. They will participate in 2 academic courses, wellness activities, breakfast and lunch will be served. Over in the high school side, students will report from 7 to 1:30. They will also participate in 2 courses, and those courses are about 2.5 hours long. Breakfast and lunch is also served. So when we look at our elementary K-8 and middle grades, our student-teacher ratio is basically one teacher to 15 students. We do provide bus transportation for those grade bands. High school, the student-teacher ratio is also 1 to 15. The students that can participate in the high school program are our level 2, 3, and 4 students, and that our level 2 students are basically the students who are second-year high school students. So you can have a freshman that has been there for 2 years but is still considered a freshman taking courses. To clarify that point. We did also have some student attendance and uniform requirements. We asked that the students basically not miss more than 1 day because the summer school program is only approximately 15 days. Uniforms must be worn. Georgia Southern University did help provide, partner with us to provide 15 tutors. And those 15 tutors are divided among 3 schools, Butler, Garden City, and Brock. So when it came to our staffing, we used various data points to develop the staffing allotment for each school. You know, obviously we had to look at the number of students at each site. We also had to look at the number of course failures, and that information in order to make sure that staffing was equitable across all school sites. Our student workers, also known as our Student Workforce Apprentice Program, SWAP. About 50 of those students are participating, and their purpose is to work with teachers in the classrooms in small groups. They also work with our business partners, our businesses, industries across the district, and I believe some of them are also working with capital projects this year. This is our list of summer school site locations this year. We had to be very strategic about this because we have various projects going on around the schools. HVA system repairs, roof repairs, those type of things, and we didn't want to compromise the safety of students. So we had to group our students according to what you see here. There are approximately 27 sites. The bold are the host sites, and the schools under them are the sites that they're hosting. Highlighted in the yellow, those are the summer school programs where the 21st Century will operate after summer school ends daily. So then we also have fee-based and non-fee-based camps. Junior Achievement and World Language Camp, those, it looks like they're separate here, but they're operating together. There are approximately 70 students participating this year in that program. And so they work with the various content areas. They also work with they also have to have a world language course that they take. They work with economics and social studies and other various things that are related to the course content, and that's over at the Junior Achievement Center at Georgia Southern. Oatland Island also does a camp. That fee-based cost is about $250 a week for the students. That provides lunches, field trips, supplies, and helps sustain the program throughout the upcoming school year. Massey Heritage, they host about 12 students each week. Their fee is $175. And again, that pays for field trips and different activities and food for those students that are participating. Non-fee-based programs, we have a AP program that works with those students to get them prepared as they progress through their high school career. Operation 15 is hosted by Campus Police, where they work with middle school and high school students with life skills, mentoring, and things to help them be successful as they transition through high school. Again, we do 21st Century after the summer school program ends. 21st Century will take over providing instruction and activities for those students that are part of that program. Yes, ma'am.
Tanya, should I refer to recognize him? Dr. Brown, how would I as a parent know to apply for my child to be in junior achievement? I would have to know to go on the website, or did things go home? How do I know what's going on?
Yes, ma'am. So we provided brochures and literature about those programs. Massey provided their own, and Oatland Island provided theirs as well. Those programs have been pretty successful every year, so people will start calling before we even start advertising. So, and then I failed to mention, but Massey, if students can't afford it, they do provide some sponsorships or scholarships through the Massey Friends. We do have some anonymous donors that will donate money to, and same thing with Junior Achievement. We have schools that will help pay and some other sponsorships.
Well, that's kind of my point. If I know about it, then I'm ready in April to get my kid in there. But in terms of us making sure that children who really need this experience, their parents are aware. Are you saying we send a note home with the kid? So the parent, here, Mom, here's my work for today. Oh, junior achievement camp. Or,
Yeah,
you understand what I'm saying? Is this something that if you're in the know, it happens for you, but if you're not, you don't even know it's happening?
Yes, ma'am, but all those programs do send out, like Massey, for example, I know that they use the Bright Arrow system to also send messages out that we're going to offer this program, because it's really kind of a first-come, first-served basis. Mm-hmm. So they do the best they can to advertise it through Bright Arrow.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was actually going to, since we're on this track, and I'm
Yes, I was going to wait till the end of the presentation, but
I'll wait, but I
yeah.
didn't want to.
You didn't want to forget it, okay.
The
All right.
access to all
Just
this
just
stuff.
jot it down so you can come back and ask. Thank you.
Okay.
Excuse me.
So Camp Arise, that's our adaptive recreational and instructional summer enrichment program, and that camp is at Lowe this year, and they work with our students that are served in our adaptive programs. And then we also offer extended school year that is based on whether the student has it in their individual educational plans. So by the numbers, so these are very, very rough numbers. These are the original numbers that were pulled from the early retention reports. So we wanted to try to do some advanced planning. Some of the numbers came from as beginning of March or whatever, students that may have a potential to have to come to summer school. So again, those numbers are rough. Elementary, it was about 1,800 students. K-8, 472. Elementary 444, and high school 1190. Now we've seen we don't have the complete number of students that are participating this week, and we'll have that tomorrow. But what we're seeing is those numbers, students were able to do some recovery before the school year ended and didn't have to come to summer school. So there's a reduction in numbers here that you'll see when we do our final report after summer school. And then the number of teachers here also were projected based on the 1-to-15 ratio. Obviously, academic affairs couldn't do it alone. We have these are some examples of the departmental support that we were given. The school counseling department, they helped us provide one counselor for each site who provides wellness activities, brain breaks, and motivational activities for our students. They're also there, obviously, to provide individual and small group counseling. The Wellness Center is open and available this summer for our referrals that we provide, and they can support us on the wraparound services that our families and children may need. The nursing department, one nurse or UAP is assigned to each site. They're there obviously to take care of health needs. We have students that are attending summer school that may have seizures, asthma, diabetic plans, and stuff like that. So they're there to also help with that and communicate with the staff throughout that process. School nutrition provided one school nutrition personnel, and they're scheduled from 7 to 2 every day to help assist with serving breakfast and lunch. And our lunches and breakfasts are proudly provided by our Second Harvest. Another example, transportation. Those early numbers, transportation was very effective in getting the students in elementary, K-8, and middle school routed. And so the first day of summer school went off very, very well with transportation. So appreciate that department. Of course, another department, curriculum instruction, helped with our readiness and credit acquisition. This slide basically outlines the number of courses students are allowed to take in summer school. So for elementary and middle, students who weren't successful in 1 or 2 courses were eligible to come to summer school. And again, each of those courses were about an hour and a half each. And they also had wellness time built into their daily schedule. Curriculum instruction helped with looking at our standards that are most critical for the courses, provided our lesson plans, our guiding documents, our pre- and post-assessments that we'll use to measure the success of the program. Same thing with middle school, basically. And then you get over to high school. High school students can take 2 courses, and those courses were each 2.5 hours long. Some of those courses are offered through Edgenuity, which is one of the online programs, but the teachers are there to provide direct instructional support to them as well. That's it. Are there any questions? Don't beat me up too badly.
Questions? We'll go around. We'll do a round robin. Ms. Kabowski?
Not at all, Dr. Brown. Thank you so much for the,
Excuse me.
the report. Is the partnership with Second Harvest new this year, or have we had that in the past for the meals?
We've actually used them in the past.
Okay.
And they do really well. So they bring in like pre-packaged breakfast and lunch, and then we can like heat it up, and or sometimes it comes heated on the trucks.
Yeah.
And so they've been very, very supportive with that.
That's great. That's good to hear. I do want to go back to Ms. Hall's point, and this is, so a couple of years ago when we had a really robust summer program coming out of COVID, and we had a lot more funding, and it was this really big thing. We did a big, like communications was all over it, and there was lots of promotion. I know we don't have those dollars anymore. We don't have as many programs anymore, but I kind of had a similar question to Ms. Hall, because I don't remember receiving a thing about the junior achievement camp. And maybe that's because of the age of my kids, because they're both, well, one's going into high school and the other one's in high school. Does junior achievement, is it just for middle school?
Elementary and middle.
Elementary, middle. So maybe that's why
Yeah.
I didn't, so because they've aged out of that.
And the Oatland Island program, for the month of June, they're really working with the K-5 students, and then 1 week in July, they'll work with the middle school students.
Yeah, well,
So
mine are past camp
Yeah.
age.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why I didn't receive it, but I do remember, in the past, we had a pretty robust, which has helped. I think, Ms. Hall, to your point, people know about Oatland Island from, like, day one. I mean, it's a pretty well-known, I think. Massey, probably less so, but I'm very excited about the programs that Massey offers, and they've really diversified their programs in the past several years. So I think that's an exciting addition, and we often forget about, Oatland and Massey as two of our just absolute gems in our district because they're not, traditional schools, but the educational opportunities they can provide for our students, I think really, set us apart as a district. So excited that we have those opportunities. So thank you so much.
Yeah, back to Oatland Island. Oatland Island is they probably have about 105 students a week participating, and they estimate there'll be about 110 middle school students when they get to that week. So that they have a good program, and like I said, it fills very quickly, and it's very well received.
Okay. Ms. Hall?
Okay, I'm going to put my equity hat on for a moment, because I'm assured that in everything we do, that's always a point of interest for us. How are we being equitable? And access is a big part of the equity question. Speaking of Massey, that's one of our, to me, most outstanding things that I love to tell people, we have. If we did a poll to find out how many of our kids across the district get access to Massey, I think, no, they ought to, but the point is, how does that happen? Am I a principal who's aware, so I make sure at third grade, all of our third graders go to Massey, or at fourth grade as part of our colonization project, everyone goes to Massey. Who makes it intentional that our kids get to these wonderful opportunities we have? And I'm saying that with joyfulness that we have these things, but I want to know that it doesn't depend on one person. I'm a principal who loves to get my kids out on field trips, or I'm a principal who thinks, nope, academic instruction in the classroom is important, field trips, do that on your own. It doesn't depend on one person to see to it that the kids have access. So if academic affairs could kind of just look at that access wheel and see, how do I know that kids all over this district get to all of our wonderful programs, not just the kids whose parents are alert and aware and in the know, because that's how life is. I understand that, and we're trying to go against the, we're going to go against that. So thank you for all of this. It's wonderful, and that's my whole point, that I want as many kids as possible to enjoy it.
And your point's well taken, and that's, as we advance plan for next year, we'll take that into consideration clearly. Thank you.
Mr. Moss?
So the Junior Achievement World Languages, okay, is that a junior achievement program, or is that an SCC PSS program?
It's a combination of both. So we kind of use the junior achievement program that they use throughout the year, but it's still cross-curricular, and then it's required that they do the world language piece of it too. But our teachers are over there working that program.
Okay, all right. And I'm going to sort of hop on what everyone else is saying. And this is, about letting our families know early on. Because, a lot of parents from doing children's choir work, a lot of parents start planning for summer camp in January. So in January, these parents need to know about these programs. Number two, you said that there are scholarships available. Are they available for all of these programs that are fee-based?
So when I confirmed that with them recently, I know that Massey does one. We do one for students wanting to participate in junior achievement. Oatland Island did not confirm whether they offer them or not, so I don't know the answer to that.
Okay, so, and I'm all for nonprofits and everything. I think that needs to be a requirement.
Okay. Yes, sir.
I don't want there to be a economic barrier for, if this is a public school program.
I totally agree.
So, Go ahead,
I was
Mr.
just going to
Belsky.
say, if we, and I'm not, certainly not opposed to that, but if we do that, I think it's something that we as a district need to look at, because Friends of Oatland as a nonprofit does a lot of tremendous work for Oatland, but it's not, I don't think it'd be fair for us to put that expectation on them, because I think you said Friends of Massey offers the Massey scholarships, so if we want to, I just think that's a conversation we need to think about, is what is the funding source for those scholarships, so that we're not asking a nonprofit that's already doing a lot of work for these.
Well, you know, Oatland, well, we probably can provide some assistance for like business partners who may want to provide a scholarship to them, and it's specific for, you know, Oatland Island or something like that. So
Yes.
that's something we can work with as we
And we
work
do
with our
have a
community.
foundation to do that.
Right.
Yes. So, I mean, and so that's, going forward, let's just be proactive on that.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, okay,
Thank you.
all right.
Troy, let me ask a question. Can I go to summer school if I'm passing all my subjects and I'm doing well, but I want to have that academic environment for the summer if my parents want me to have that? Or it's just for kids who?
No, ma'am, not this year, because with our staffing, we need to really focus on the students that need to recover coursework. Students that may have passed their courses, but their attendance was an issue this year, we did allow some of those to come, to make up, you know, basically some of the instruction they lost.
So you're saying we didn't have the money, that, I don't believe that we had that conversation. Did we have that conversation about summer school funding where we're not going to?
So I don't think it was really about the money, it's about the staff that we had available
Staffing.
to teach the
Oh,
courses.
people, do
Yes,
you
ma'am.
want to teach this summer and these
Yes,
how many
ma'am.
people decided they
Yes,
wanted to
ma'am.
teach?
Mhm.
Okay, I understand.
And, I'm sorry, could you go back one slide? Because there was a question. Hang on.
Don't forget to raise your hands,
I'm sorry.
people. Let's go, Ms. Hall, she started.
I know. Okay, so it says under high school, grade recovery is not part of summer school? So they're not recovering grades?
So I think what the high school means by that is that, let's just say that a student wasn't successful in a course, so they can just show up for summer school and do a couple of recovery activities to change the grade kind of thing. So that's not offered. They actually have to take the course to substitute the course that they were not successful in.
I did not understand that.
Okay. So as a teacher, as I'm getting to the end of the year and I have a student that I know has not completed certain assignments, will probably fail, I can give that student recovery work and then put those grades in, and it recovers the work that they missed, and they end up passing. So we didn't want some kids coming to summer school to do that when they had the opportunity to do it before summer started. Does that not help?
Why are they coming to summer school?
They're coming to take a course that they didn't recover. Yeah, they didn't turn work in, and they completely failed the course.
They failed?
Yes.
Okay, got it. Okay. All right.
That's my fault, because I didn't want to use the word failure. They just
Yeah.
weren't successful in completing the course,
You don't have to
basically.
be politically correct
It's
with
kind of a
us.
tier 2, right?
Yeah.
So tier 1 is you have the opportunity to provide the work before school gets out to your regular teacher.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't take advantage of that, you can come to summer school, because at that point, you've actually earned an F. You
Right.
have failed the class. So that would be tier 2, would be coming to summer school.
okay.
Does that
So
make
by
sense?
August, you're good to go with the next.
If you complete the
Correct,
summer.
yes. If you're successful in summer school.
But you're retaking the whole course in summer school versus just turning in those missing assignments.
I get it, thank you.
Okay, Mrs. Smith?
Thank you so much, Dr. Brown, for your presentation. Very informative. I would like to draw your attention to page 5 for just 1 second. We talked about the bus transportation being provided for the elementary kids. I believe I know why, but I would like for it to be said, why isn't it provided for high school students?
It's just we haven't provided it in previous years, and so I don't even, the rationale at this point, I don't know. The transportation just said that we haven't done it in the past summer, so.
I can follow up on that.
Yeah, so if you don't mind, because I'm not real sure.
But I would also like to add for the community to know that although it's not being added for high school or offered for high school students, we still have that relationship with the wonderful people from CAT.
Yes.
correct?
Yes,
So
sir.
that they could get there
Yes.
through
and-
CAT.
And we did mention that to the high school students after we had the presentation with CAT here before. We mentioned it to parents who had concerns about transportation for summer school.
Awesome,
Yes.
awesome. Thank you. Quick question, by chance, will the numbers be available for how many students we had graduate this year, as well as what the percentage is? Is that available today, or not quite?
No, I don't have that data right now, no.
Hasn't been probably endorsed by the state yet.
Yes.
Wouldn't that come in the fall,
Yes,
Feliciano?
ma'am, usually.
Yes, ma'am, we haven't closed student records yet. We have to close student records, and then the State Department will provide those numbers to us, the official numbers.
Awesome, thank you.
Thank you for your presentation. I have several questions. Let me ask, and then we go back around again. How about that? Because many people are asking, multiple times.
I wasn't nervous at first, now y'all making me nervous now, come on.
Oh, no. I know that with elementary and middle school, we have multiple criteria. Some students, the promotion is pending due to summer school. And due to our attendance concern, do we have any students that were referred to summer programs due to their attendance?
There were minimal. Some students got student waivers beforehand because they were able to, be successful in completing the necessary work, where their attendance didn't interfere too much with their assignments. But there were some that they really needed to show some success on, so they had to come. I don't know exact numbers, but we can get
Okay.
that.
And also, I know the ratio is 1 to 15 students, and we do have many of those students with IEPs and 504 plans. So do we have special education teachers assisting those teachers with those students?
Yes, and thank you. When I talked about on this particular slide that's up now, when I used the data, one of the other data points that we used was looking at the IEPs and if the student needed assistance with either a special ed teacher or special ed para, those were provided. Yes.
Then just one more point. I know that the 19th is a holiday, and I'm hoping that the teachers are explaining to the students why that's a holiday, that we're celebrating Juneteenth. So it'd be a perfect opportunity to have a little history involved and let them know why they have a holiday during the summer month.
So last year, we had teachers that were actually doing that because we had to educate some other folks as to why too. So yes, they will take that opportunity, and I'll make sure that is known to them to do so.
I appreciate that. Now, who else had more questions? Ms. Kabowski?
Thank you.
We have time, so.
I just wanted to go back to that slide 10 with the chart about the grade recovery. So I understand what you're saying about the high schools. So does that mean in elementary and middle school that they may not necessarily have to repeat the whole course? They just have they have the option to just repeat like what they missed?
No, if they actually had an F at the end of the year in that particular course, they can fail 2 courses basically, and so they have to basically do the essential standards to show that they have mastery in that to be able to pass the course to go to the next grade. So
guess
they're
I'm-
really taking the course over, if you will, too.
Okay, I guess I'm just trying to understand why it's called out that grade recovery is not part of summer school under high school, but it also would apply to elementary and middle as well then? Is that
Yeah.
right? Or does grade recovery means like, I got a C and I want to get a B? No? Okay.
No,
I'm just trying to understand what that,
So the high school, when this was presented to me, the high school did that portion, and what we explained earlier is their rationale for it, and over here on the other side, basically, they can recover up to 2 courses that they fail on middle school and elementary and K-8.
And remembering too that high school grades are linked to credit accrual
Cruel.
right.
So they have to pay.
versus in elementary school.
fee
So
for
when you're
that.
talking about grade recovery, you're talking about taking an entire course over again so that you can accumulate the credit you need to graduate.
And that's what I'm trying to, does that mean in elementary and middle, they don't necessarily have to take the entire course over? Like, why would you not also have to take it over in elementary and middle school to recover a course that you failed?
I mean, essentially, the kids are taking a course over, but it's not linked to credit accrual. Like, they don't have to earn a point towards
Yeah, they're not going to get a unit of credit.
Okay, so it's
Right.
more about the graduation credits.
Bring units,
Credit
yes.
accrual,
Okay.
yes.
And it also comes with an expense. For summer school, for high schoolers, it's not free of charge from the way it used to be, if I'm not mistaken, right? Do they have to pay?
So this
for
year, they're
those?
not paying, but It may be a consideration in the future. It depends on how.
But they used to pay at one time.
They
I-
did.
yeah.
They did. And years ago, actually, middle school had to pay for courses. It was 300 and something years ago, and then 90 for middle school.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. Any more questions, Ms. Hall?
So basically, what we've done is erased the whole idea of retention. It's not necessary. You're only retained now if you refuse to attend a summer program. No? Why, if I'm in fourth grade and I failed social studies and math, and I go to summer school, why then can't I go on to fifth grade? What would be a reason that I'm retained now? If I failed everything and there's not enough summer school?
Yeah, do we even offer social studies in summer school?
We do. The so I guess I need to hear the question again because
Okay, we often hear, oh, they just let them go on. They don't make them repeat. And research has shown us that keeping children just repeating and repeating does no good for them at all. I'm asking you, do we have our children in a situation now where there is a summer period where they can correct their failures and go on to the next grade, that gradually the need to retain a child a whole year because they failed something isn't necessary anymore?
I would say conceptually, yes,
Yes.
what you just said, but there may be extenuating circumstances.
Right.
Or different
Like
circumstances.
maturity, other things other than just,
Yes.
I got an F and like, if I get an F in social studies and science, is that different from an F in reading and math, or is the same? And I'm going over because I did not know that.
so they have to pass 4
Columbus
content
sailed the
areas.
ocean.
And elementary, middle, and K-8 schools have to pass the 4 content areas. So if they fail up to 2 during the regular school year, and they come to summer school and take those 2 courses, pass those courses, then they're promoted to the next grade.
Which is what I mean by conceptually. So if a child fails 3 or 4 subjects, they can't
impossible.
come to summer school and make it up
Yeah.
because the maximum amount of courses you could recover or get credit for is 2.
But our kids who would be in that situation of failing 4 subjects would probably be minimal, because we start looking right after Christmas at children who have a, trend towards that.
So actually, we
Is
start
that-
earlier than that. If we're in first quarter and I have a student that is not being successful in the course, as a teacher, I have to send out a critical decision form.
Okay.
And I put things in place to provide tutorial, other opportunities for them to recover the work. I mean, if a child is not a good test taker and they're failing things, maybe I need to pull them out individually and let them take tests or whatever. So teachers are working all throughout the year to keep them from being retained in those courses. And we document all that by providing that critical decision form to the parents
Wonderful.
quarterly.
Okay.
But we start doing it not after they failed the course, we start doing it when they start failing.
Very good. Okay, I think that's, I don't want to pat us on the back too much, but to me, that's pretty much a fail-safe if we're getting any kind of cooperation
Exactly.
that we're doing, because we do realize now that same kid, that's the one who's not going to be with us come 9th, 10th grade if we don't do that while they're very small. So
Right, because we
we're
put the
doing
other
our
safety.
part is what I'm saying.
And then our other safety checks, if we have a student that, is just not being successful in the course, and the teachers are trying, that's when they start the RTI and the MTSS process to be able to help them be successful as well.
Okay. Ms. Gabowski, then Mr. Smith, I think he may have had a question.
And I don't know if this is a question for you, Dr. Brown, but this retention, and maybe this is a sidebar somewhere else, but it seems to me if there's a student who is barely squeaking by and, they get all Ds on their report card, they may have technically passed, but they are not, so it seems that could be a situation where retention might make sense I'm assuming our principals and our administrators have some flexibility to be able to work with families and evaluating those situations? And again, maybe this is a question for another time, but.
I would say to some extent, but a D is, we don't do, well, I know for high school, I should say, only because I have a child myself, we don't have Ds. Is that true for elementary and middle?
Yes, ma'am.
So
Okay,
it's
so it's just
A, B, C, F.
F, okay.
So technically, a C is a passing grade, so I
Right.
don't know that we could retain a kid if they were barely squeaking by. If they hit the bar for
Yeah.
pass, we got to pass them.
Okay.
Yeah, and we
Well,
do-
I just think about the students that, especially like if they're barely squeaking by and that trend is one that continues, and I know we have all of and maybe it's just a matter of making sure those interventions are in place to help them to be
But of
more
course, a
successful.
parent, due to maturity, parents could also make a request. for a
Correct.
child
That's what I was here to
Yeah.
say.
There are
Yep.
other
Yeah.
things that can be considered.
And I know that happens, but I know sometimes, especially in elementary school, especially because maturity and age levels and birthdays. Okay, well, that's,
Mrs. Smith?
I appreciate that.
Dr. Watts,
Mr.
what
Smith was-
about
Mr.
acceleration?
Smith was next, and then Ms. Hall.
Reclaiming my time? No, I'm playing. I don't have anything to say. I'm good.
Okay, I knew you had your hand up, okay. Okay, Ms. Hall.
Okay, acceleration. I have just blasted through everything in fourth grade, and I'm asking you questions that a sixth grader would. What can happen to me? Who propels me?
So for full grade acceleration, to skip a grade. So we have a plan in place for that. So actually we have a booklet that walks us through it. So that the children are tested at their grade level. The Iowa test, for example, may be used, and at their grade level and above their grade level. Committee meets with parents, and they get together and they talk about the child's test scores. They talk about whether the child is mature enough to do that, and if the committee recommends doing the full grade acceleration, we do that.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. And the teacher is that person. Dr. Brown, this is Ms. at Brock, and I have a student who needs to be tested for. The teacher is the one who gets that going.
So the teacher can make the recommendation, but we do also have parents to say, I feel like my child is, maybe at a third grade level and not at a second grade level. So that if they make the recommendation, then the committee will come together and we'll go through the same process.
Okay. What I'm trying to get away from is willy-nilly, that everything is intentional, that it doesn't just happen because all the forces of nature came together and I was lucky. That instead, there's that gifted teacher at the school or somebody who hears that child speak. I was at Gaston one day for a program, and there was a first grader there, and we were in the library, and some of the questions that first grader was asking, it was kind of, everyone was, oh my gosh. So I asked the principal later, had someone started looking at that child? Because what we heard in that library was phenomenal, So just that people's ears and eyes are open and looking for good things as opposed to,
I agree.
Okay. I remember, I'm sitting here thinking, I retired in 15, and that's next year, it'll be 10 years, so I know things have changed, but I know we've always concentrated on multiple criteria. You look at a child's I-ready score, you look at the GMAT, you look at the grades, report card grades, teacher recommendation, as well as attendance. So when you're considering a child being retained, it's more than just passing and failing the class. There's other different criteria that we also look at. I remember my son received a critical decision form, and I was upset. And when I went to the meeting, he wasn't turning in his homework, so he was getting zeros in homework, which dropped his GPA average. So it's good to have those critical decision forms. I know that typically in January, that's when they go out, or are you more aggressive now and they're starting right away within the first 9 weeks?
We've asked our principals to ensure, like it goes back to the point I was saying earlier, that when the child starts failing, not after they failed, when they start failing, send the critical decision form home saying, child's not doing X, Y, and Z, so that it puts the parent on alert, and then it also helps us monitor those students before they fail. So we're not doing it at the end of the quarter or at the end of the semester. We're doing it throughout the quarters.
And that should also tie into with the RTI
Correct.
process as well.
Correct.
Providing different strategies for them to be successful.
Correct.
And just sitting here, another memory, I don't have time to tell the whole story, but teaching kindergarten years ago, I had a student just like Miss Hall. He was very bright, just monopolized my classroom pretty much. So I advocated for that child, went to the principal. They said, we're testing for gifted. I said, I'm not saying he's gifted. He's just ready for first grade. So they gave him the gifted test, didn't pass it. So they said, oh, we'll just put him in first grade reading and come back to you for the rest of the day. So I went to his teacher. I said, listen, I'm trying to advocate for this child. He needs to be in first grade. So she said, well, I see what he does. So they had a reading test that she was giving her students again because all of them failed. His first day in there passed with flying colors. Make a long story short, they put him in first grade. I get a phone call 12 years later inviting me to come to his graduation and to say that he was also the class valedictorian.
Yes.
And that person now, that student that I'm talking about, he's principal at South Effingham High School, Torian White. He was my kindergarten student. So gifted doesn't always necessarily mean if you're ready. So that was a good point that you brought up, Ms.
Yeah, it sure was.
So thank you so much for the presentation. And do you all think we might need to have the summer activities, summer learning opportunities mid-year? Since Mr. Moss was concerned about parents not being aware of the different programs as opposed to talking about it at the end of the year. So we consider that for next year to probably have it mid-year so more parents can be aware of these programs.
Thank you.
Thank you. Back to you, Mr. President.
I'll accept a motion to adjourn.
So moved?
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor? Aye, thank you. We will see you at 11 o'clock for informal.